Hi, this is Shannon from Voices of Defiance, a podcast member of the GonnaGeek network, just like the one you're listening to now. The opinions expressed are those of each individual. Check out all the other podcasts at GonnaGeekNetwork.com. And get ready because geekiness begins in 3, 2, 1.
You're listening to Crimson Comet, a fan podcast about the TV show dedicated to the Scarlet Speedster himself, CW's The Flash. Welcome to episode 26 of Crimson Comet. This week we'll be discussing The Flash, Season 1, Episode 22, Rogue Air. I'm your host, Haley, aka Awesome Engineering Girl.
I'm John, aka Lobster.
And I'm Will, aka Rum Daddy. And welcome to Geekation, everyone.
Live from Geekation.
Live from the Chicago suburbs.
From Chicago.
If you don't know what the word live means.
We are breathing, aren't we?
Yes.
You guys are alive, which after the night you had last night is kind of a miracle.
It's impressive.
There was a lot of Powerade being drunk this morning.
Very slowly. Sipped.
There was ibuprofen being thrown around like Tic Tac. And let me tell you, you are really missed here. We wish you could have joined us.
I wish that I could be there, as do many of our listeners, I am certain.
Well, John is Skyping in, and for the first time, we're actually video Skyping each other. And let me tell you, thank God this is an audio show so that our listeners don't have to see how hungover we are.
It's pretty fun to watch. I am enjoying myself.
I am very close to being upright at this point.
Well, one of us isn't. We were going to have Nightwing come and join us because he's here, and he is physically present in the room. However, he is at this moment horizontal and
Pass the fuck out.
Pass the fuck out, recuperating from last night.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny. We could shoot a gun in this room and it won't wake him.
After we finish the podcast, I'll go upstairs and grab a Nerf gun.
Can we just draw on his face?
So, if you'd like to get in contact with us, you can find all that information on our website, crimsoncometpodcast.com. We're on Twitter at Crimson Podcast, Facebook, Crimson Comet Podcast, YouTube, Crimson Comet. We have a voicemail line, 423-FLASH-53. That's 423-352-7453. You can send us an email, crimsoncomet@GonnaGeek.com, or you can visit our forums, forums.GonnaGeek.com, or if you have a smartphone, you can search for GonnaGeek on the tapatalk app.
Tapatalk, tapatalk.
Tapatalk.
So there was an episode this week.
Yes, there was.
There certainly was, and I have missed the last two due to life events.
Stupid life.
Are you going to be able to contribute to the conversation this week, John?
Yeah, absolutely. I caught up on the last 2 weeks all at once, so I watched The Trap and God Lives back to back. And let me tell you, those were some fun episodes. To finally see Grodd on screen was so exciting.
It was cool.
It was impressive.
Did you, I just showed Haley this morning, I don't know if you had a chance to see the lost deleted scene from last week's episode from, was it was either Grodd Lives or The Trap. I think it was from The Trap.
No.
It had Caitlin delivering pizzas and lunch to everybody who is imprisoned.
Down in the pipeline.
Oh, nice.
And we found out that everybody has different
Dietary needs.
Exactly.
Spartacus likes Thai food every day.
The Poof, she likes not pizza. Empanadas or something like that.
I don't remember. And then the guy that shoots laser beams out of his eyes, he's vegan.
He was vegan.
That's right. So we had Rogue Air.
Yeah.
Rogue Air, not Con Air. And this was a team-up episode in a couple different ways.
In a lot of different ways. Okay,
Yeah.
First of all, we had the opening, and it was Wells narrating the opening, which was...
Yes.
Last week it was Iris,
Yes.
and this week it was Wells.
Iris, who knows finally. This was a big development.
She is in the know now.
She is in the know.
And being useful and everything.
She's so much better now that she knows than when she didn't know. Like, this week she didn't annoy me nearly as much as she did last week.
And she got to help. She knocked that bitch out.
Yep.
Right?
So it's what I've been waiting for all season. If you're going to have a metahuman prison, you got to have a metahuman prison break.
Prison Break, right. With people from the show Prison Break.
Yes.
I was still thinking of poofing.
Yeah, she poofed away right at the outset of them really getting out. She's like, I'm out of here. Forget it.
Uh-huh.
This is too much for me. I don't want none of this.
That girl has some leg extension.
That was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Got to stretch to do that kind of thing.
All right, but let's do the setup because Wells. Now everybody knows Wells is the Reverse Flash. He is in full supervillain mode at this point, and his plan is to turn the reactor back on. If that happens, then all the metahumans that they've been keeping down there will die. They will be vaporized. So Barry has a choice. He could either leave them there and let them die, or figure out some way to transport them to another location, knowing that letting them go would probably be a bad thing.
True.
So this sets up the big dilemma in this episode, which, again, like this episode and the last episode are really about the wrenches that Wells is throwing at them to keep them occupied while he completes his grand master plan.
Yeah, well, his grand master plan doesn't really accumulate to much, does it?
Unless he wanted to get captured at the end, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
True that. Run, Barry, run.
So Wells captured Detective Pretty Boy.
Yes.
And was holding him in his... Basically in the basement of Star Labs, we find out.
First of all, he's looking pretty good with the scruff.
Yeah.
The scruff works on him.
Yes, it does.
The disheveled hair and the scruff, I'm like, okay, it's a new look. It works on you.
He was held prisoner for 2 weeks, chained to that chair, and you're going to go up that ladder behind him? I don't think so.
There's a lot of stankiness going on around him, I'm sure.
I don't know. Maybe Wells was like hosing him off.
And they hook him up, and they're just like, oh, you're just a little dehydrated. Is he a metahuman too? Like,
yeah, he's a little dehydrated.
I don't know. He did make a point of saying you can go months without food.
Yeah, well, as long as he has water, he'll be fine.
So he was at least watering him once a day.
Like a plant. And then, of course, he goes to work right away. He gives Iris attitude.
Well, he needs a constant because being trapped in a basement for 2 weeks isn't constant enough for him. He needs to go right back to work.
Well, I don't blame him. He knows that she's going to end up marrying Barry.
Yeah.
Which, if they say Mary Barry again, wasn't that a movie? Like, isn't there a Mary Barry out there somewhere?
Or at least it's somebody, a scribe name, you know.
Who's going to marry Barry?
Okay, also, who in this day and age moves in with their boyfriend and then goes and orders a bunch of return labels?
No, it's like you only buy those return labels if you're already planning your wedding, like, you know, the invites. Oh, and by the way, he dropped her like a hot Pop-Tart, too. It was awesome. And he was cold about it, too. I'm like, I so much more respect for him now.
I don't blame him. It's like, he knows what's going on. Of course he's going to break up with her. He's nobody's second choice.
Well, and I think part of it was, and they explained this a little bit, was he knew that she loves Barry. And he might have told himself, like you said, like, I thought I could love you enough. But basically now he's being given irrefutable proof that that sinking feeling he had in his stomach about the two of them was true. And he knows that they're going to end up together. And now he knows it for a fact. So now he's like saying, all right, forget it. I'm not even going to fight for you.
But here's the thing about time travel. We all know that the future is not written in stone.
I think we're going to find out next week that the past is not written in stone.
Also true.
So things can change.
And I think they will change, and I am looking forward to it because I love time travel.
I know. Yeah. It's gonna be messed up. It's gonna be fucking with our minds for a while. So now Barry decides that he needs help finding Wells. So he goes and enlists the help of Captain Cold.
Well, yeah.
I think that Wentworth Miller is fantastic for this role because he overacts it so well that it works.
He's just like chewing up every bit of scenery around him.
It's fantastic. I mean, it gives John Barrowman a run for his money. Mm-hmm. But what I do love, he goes to the bar and he puts a coin in the jukebox and plays Cold as Ice. Did you guys catch that?
I forgot about that part.
I thought it was brilliant. And he does call him the Scarlet Speedster, but I'm like, when are you going to call him the Crimson Comet? Come on.
Yeah, right?
It's a less popular nickname, which is why I picked it for the podcast, because I was like, nobody else will have a chance to steal it before I put it out.
Girl.
But, okay, so basically Barry gave him, the last time we saw him, Barry gave him free license to do whatever he wanted, just as long as nobody got hurt. And so what has he done? He's basically, like, gotten himself a dive bar, and he can just hang out there, play whatever he wants on the jukebox, and eat all the pickled eggs he wants.
The pickled eggs, that's right. That shit's disgusting. You know, if you have the power of turning things into ice, of course you're just going to hang out in the bar and
Right. Order ice cold beer.
Yeah.
And again, we see his sister.
she gets a name.
Yeah, she maybe still has a thing for Cisco and convinces him to give her a nickname, Golden Glider. But we don't see Heatwave, who we will see in Legends of Tomorrow as Snart's partner, but he's MIA in this episode.
Well, they put his name in the trailer for Legends of Tomorrow, which that came out this week. That was pretty awesome.
Oh, that trailer. That wasn't a trailer. That was more of a sizzle reel for upfronts.
Let's talk about that when we get to news, but yes, very excited.
But what I love before we run into Golden Glider is that Eddie goes back to Star Labs and Captain Cold decided that he was going to join them. So Captain Cold just walks into Star Labs.
There's no zero security. There's
Gunther!
No way. Like, Iris walked in last week. She just shows up. Captain Cold walks in. Harrison Wells is just, like, creeping through a little hatch underneath, like, popping his head out of the sewer, like, hey.
And it's all Gunther's fault.
It is.
Gunther, jeez.
Gunther is a son of a bitch. I hope they left him in the particle accelerator when it turned on.
Oh, get your shit together, Gunther.
All right, show of hands. How many of you remembered the names of all the metahumans that were in the pipeline?
I did not.
No.
I didn't even remember that those guys were down there.
we lost track.
I remembered Weather Wizard, and I remembered Fartman.
And Poof. I remembered those three, and I forgot completely about the other two guys.
Rainbow Raider, who they called by name in Grodd Lives. They didn't call him, what was the other name they made up for him? Like
Prism?
Prism, yeah. They actually called him Rainbow Raider.
And which one is he?
The other one who shoots laser beams out of his eyes.
Rainbow Raider is the guy that turned Barry into a rage monster.
And he turns Caitlin angry in this one.
Yeah.
Right.
You wouldn't like her when she's angry.
No.
Yeah, I forgot those guys were there.
Yeah.
I only remembered the gaseous people.
And there's a couple that were in there, but they killed. They killed Everyman, I think, 2 weeks ago he got killed?
Yeah. And there was
and
that
the guy
other
that turned to steel.
Yeah, he got killed.
Yeah.
Yep.
Girder. Didn't another metahuman die in that same episode he died in?
Yes. The one who absorbed Barry's powers.
Oh, that's right.
Electro guy.
Right.
But anyway, so there's a grand total of 5 in there. And it's 5 that they have to figure out how to transport. They don't get along too well with each other, even when they try to transport them. But they all kind of like vaguely know each other, which was interesting. So they were down there, but they weren't allowed to really interact, I guess. They were all kind of kept in their little cubes.
They don't get yard time.
Yeah, right.
Well, I find it interesting that it's now they're setting up the rogues.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see what happens when the rogues go from being evil to being chaotic good.
Well, I don't think it's going to be all the rogues. I think it's just going to be Cold and Heatwave. Again, they're not heroes, they're legends.
They're legends, told to us by a man who already knows what time travel is all about.
So let's talk about the human rights violations, because that was an interesting turn that this episode took, which I'm glad that they went there, because I think it's an important distinction between right and wrong, and obviously they make the parallels between Barry and what Oliver Queen does as the Arrow.
Right.
Do you think that this, is this more Batman, Superman allegory stuff that we've talked about before, or is this...
Well, we already know that the Arrow was set up to be basically Batman because they didn't own the rights to Batman, so they turned Arrow into Batman, which, by the way, have you seen the season finale?
Of Arrow?
Yeah.
Yes, well, our Scarlet Speedster shows up in it.
Yes, he does. It could have easily been a series finale.
Yeah. And that's going to lead into my theory about where the Flash season finale is going to take both shows.
So it's going to undo Oliver's happy ending?
I kind of wonder.
That's a brilliant idea. I didn't think about that, how it would affect the Oliver's happy ending. It will set everything back, and they're going to keep going. It'll reset everything in both worlds.
I don't know. I don't think they'll reset, but I mean,
rejigger.
Yeah, it's like an interesting thing to be like, if Barry wasn't there to save them in Nanda Parbat, then what would have played out there? Like, how would that have been different?
Oh, that's a really good point.
We saw Oliver at the end of this episode when in the timeline of Arrow did that happen?
Because all of a sudden, what is he going to be dealing with Ra's al Ghul and go, I got to step out for a couple minutes and then come back?
I think that is like literally where it takes place. So if you watch last week's Arrow, I think at some point between like the wedding and the honeymoon, he probably slipped out, or maybe before, because doesn't he show up in Starling City a little bit when he's supposedly hunting down Nyssa? I
don't remember.
Yeah, but he does show up in Starling. Oh, by the way, this is another pet peeve of mine that I have with Arrow. It's he can totally pop from one place to another and end up in Starling City when he's hunting down Nyssa. But when they go and have the poison, suddenly they need this big plane, and it takes them an entire episode just to get there.
I'm not sure exactly what the mileage is like in terms of going back and forth. But so my understanding was that sometime either during last week's episode of Arrow or shortly thereafter, he got the message from Barry, because remember, Barry tries to get a hold of Arrow. He ends up getting a hold of Lila to help set up the prisoner transport.
Right. From cell block 1138.
They reference Oliver being in Nanda Parbat. He shows up at the end of this episode, says, oh, by the way, I might need a favor from you. Barry says, okay, wherever, whatever you need, I'll be there. And then he shows up literally before his name appears in the credits for this week's Arrow, the finale.
Right.
Yeah, and he's there for like a minute and a half, and he's gone.
But he's essential, otherwise the rest of the episode wouldn't work, because they'd still be stuck there.
So when we come back next season on both shows, they're probably going to have to try and figure out another way out of there.
See, I don't know. Like, that's, to me, that was just sort of like, oh, well, they've kind of like written this happy ending for Oliver. Like, I don't know what the premiere schedule is going to be like, or really how this is going to affect. But I was like, well, there's like an interesting take, because if you rejigger the timeline a little bit, you could take Arrow in a different direction. I think they're going to find out that the city still needs him, and he'll forsake a little bit of his happy ending to become the Arrow, or at least we know that there's a red Arrow now, so he'll have to be the green one.
Right.
Or, this would be terrible, Felicity gets killed, and that's what brings him back.
That might be what brings him back, but then the whole timeline would change again, and we'd get Felicity back again.
Yeah.
He also let Diggle go and told Diggle that if he's going to keep fighting crime, that he should start wearing a mask, because that's how he protects his family.
All right, so we've talked a lot about the Arrow. Let's get back to the Flash and talk about Rogue Air. Speaking of which, and also little meta references to DC Comics. Hey, Ferris Air, didn't that place get shut down?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have like a missing
plane crash.
Yeah,
missing
they have a
pilot.
missing test pilot.
Oh, that's right.
So, do we think that is Hal Jordan or Jon Stewart?
That's a good question. I'm guessing Hal Jordan, because he's the one I think that was.
He was the pilot.
The test pilot. Yeah.
Jon Stewart was a cop, right?
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So you think that they're going to start going towards Green Lantern on the show?
I think they're going to hint at it. We've seen a lot of Ferris Air references this year. We also saw Coast City.
I wonder if they might just use him in Legends of Tomorrow, or as a guest on one. I don't see them making another show at this point.
No, that's
and
way
maybe
too
they'll
much.
just have like oblique references to it, like it seems like Supergirl.
Well, who owns Green Lantern?
I think WB has all the rights to all their properties.
Oh, do they? Okay.
They have the rights. There's certain, in terms of like TV development, like Gotham can do the Batman characters, but they can't do Batman because they don't have the TV rights to Batman. Smallville could do Clark Kent, but they couldn't do Superman.
Right.
They might even be able to say Hal Jordan, but they might not be able to show the Green Lantern. I don't know.
Well, that brings me to the article that we were reading about the possibility of Diggle being Green Lantern, which would be completely out of the canon, but would be interesting.
He would be a fantastic Green Lantern, even if they went in like an original direction and didn't do like Jon Stewart or whatever. I think he kind of embodies what that character is, and Green Lantern's all about like strength of will and doing what's right, and that's like who Diggle is. But I don't know if they can do that.
Well, I'm hoping that DC doesn't spread themselves too thin, because of the success of Arrow, and then The Flash is great. Gotham is controversially a success. I mean, some people hate it, some people love it.
It's a different universe, though.
Yeah.
But it looks like with Legends of Tomorrow, and I think even Supergirl is going to take place in the same universe.
I can't remember where I read it, but it was an article I read recently that puts Gotham in the past. So it's still in the same universe as everything, but it happened many, many, many years ago, so it's not taking place simultaneously as any of the shows that we're watching.
Yeah, a lot of the stuff I've seen says that it's, 15, 20 years before Arrow and
Flash or anything, yeah.
All right, so let's talk about the whole Rogues thing, because so this is like the first team up in the episode. We have our 5 Rogues. We have Barry working with Captain Cold and the Golden Glider. How does their plan to transport these guys work out?
None of it seemed like it was going to work out. No. All of it, I'm like, I could pop so many holes in this plan. It's just not going to work.
Oh, and Golden Glider just happens to have her CDL. A girl's got to work.
Yeah.
I laughed so hard when she pushed that pedal down with her stiletto.
That was hysterical. I love how there's humor in every episode. It even pokes fun at itself.
Right.
What I still can't understand is why she and her brother would want to go around robbing banks when she has a gun that shoots gold.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Maybe it doesn't shoot gold. Maybe it's pyrite.
Maybe.
Fool's gold. Okay, so we've got our Rogues. Let's do the rundown of kind of what ends up happening, because this was a really interesting scene I enjoyed watching, because you kind of have, they all kind of escape at once. They've all got superpowers, and Barry's got to try to fight them all at once. He ends up primarily just dealing with Kyle Nimbus, a.k.a. The Mist, a.k.a. Fartman, who he does that ridiculous looking thing with his arms where he just windmills his arms and tries to contain him. We saw him do that the fire.
Yeah,
with the fire.
Once again, having problems with his rotator cuff.
Right. Weather Wizard is using lightning. He takes out the airplane, right, that's supposed to transport them. Peekaboo, she just bolts. She just takes off. Deathbolt is shooting rays. Rainbow Raider actually turns his rainbow eyes on Caitlin, and she flips out on Cisco and starts beating up on him, which was pretty funny to watch. Did you catch what she said?
No, she was saying something, but I wasn't, I couldn't make it out.
She was mad at him for basically trapping Ronnie in the accelerator and I guess killing him, even though, he's not really dead. And then, of course, finally Captain Cold steps back in, zaps Deathbolt in the face because he owed him money.
I thought that looked great. It was really cool.
He kind of makes his play and says, "Now you owe me one."
He's just playing chess. He's playing chess with everybody and just moving his pieces around so that he's always on top.
Yeah. Also, Weather Wizard at one point strikes Barry with lightning, which again, kind of incapacitates him. But I'm like, wait a second, isn't that what made him the Flash? Shouldn't he just be able to shake that off?
It also gave him abs.
It did. Shouldn't he get more abs now?
Also, more lightning psychosis.
Yep, lightning psychosis. Captain Cold basically says, you shouldn't have taken me at my word because I'm a liar, I'm a thief. Also, in that first scene in the bar with Captain Cold, he makes a request from Barry that Barry rejects and kind of laughs off, but what do you think that original request might have been? We know that he gets his identity erased. Ultimately, that's the bargain that they strike. But what do you think his original ask was?
I don't know, but we know he didn't get his identity completely erased because Barry made sure he downloaded everything onto a flash drive.
A flash drive.
So we know that didn't happen.
My guess was go fuck yourself. And it was just he's well, he can move really fast. Do you think he can move that fast?
Time echoes.
Barry was no, that's impossible.
Well, there was that thing that Wells did with the speed double or whatever.
Right,
they ended up calling that, but
that could happen.
Doesn't make sense. Anyways,
it doesn't make sense at all. So we'll never know.
The world will never know.
The Rogues are gone. And this is halfway through the episode too, which
I know, which is it was an episode that was moving really, really fast.
Yeah,
it's the Flash. All this was going on, and here's the thing: the little problems are there's a point where Barry compares himself to Arrow, and that's a bad move. You can't compare yourself to the
Oliver
Arrow.
Does it? Why can't I just be that guy?
No, you can't, Barry, because you're not a billionaire that has been trained for many, 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 many years.
A lot happened in this episode. We jumped into the action from the very start.
Yeah.
Right.
We had everybody looking at their pictures, and then boom, Prison Break starts.
I guess at this point, the main problem that they have, which is that the accelerator is going to turn on, and that's part of Wells's plan that he's working with his glow stick from the future that he just kind of plugs into the wall. So the accelerator is still turning on, and they know that Wells is going to come back, and of course he does, and that sets up the final fight, the second team up that happens.
Everybody's there for it.
Oh, it's the Amells cousins. It was a family reunion,
which I was totally expecting a little bit of like, hey, you guys kind of look related, but nope, they don't reference it at all. They're just like, yeah, you know. Well, I mean, Firestorm's on fire for most of it, and Oliver has his hood up, but whatever.
Yeah,
you got a new look. I like the haircut.
Yeah.
Did you decide to dump the green?
Oh, and this sets up my favorite shot of the episode, which in an episode of Great Shots was Wells says, this is actually going to be fun, sticks his hand out, his ring pops open, the suit comes out, and he runs into it.
That was so good.
Like, oh, that's totally amazing.
They did it.
They did it.
I'm ready for Barry to be like, I could use one of these.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Start running into his suit. That was so awesome.
I need clothes that I could just run into. I need an outfit like that.
Which, I mean, it makes so much more sense than putting your costume on the mannequin and, like, having to dress and undress the mannequin every time.
And who cleans the costume?
You guys put those things on display?
I know, you guys put those things on display.
This fight at the end was absolutely epic between Flash, Arrow, Firestorm versus the Reverse Flash.
Oh, and here's another problem I have. Big problem. At what point in the Arrow storyline did he go to Ray Palmer, get these arrows, explain what was going on, leave Ra's al Ghul behind?
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe it's something they were working on before that. So Cisco calls up Ray, and he's like, yo, buddy, bro, we've got this thing. We've got this other speedster, an evil speedster, and we need a way to deal with him. And so Ray was working on that for a while, and it wasn't like just recently that he started on it.
Wasn't that originally what the cold gun was for that he gave to Captain Cold got?
Exactly.
Like, that was to stop a speedster, so
Make another one of those?
Yeah, make another one of those. Maybe because he swore off doing it, but...
No more guns.
No more guns.
No capes,
arrows,
no guns.
Arrows only. So, and then I love the running up the side and around the top of the Star Labs building, and then Firestorm coming through and blasting him, and then he falls, hits the car, and Oliver hits him with the arrow that finally knocks him out.
I love that they put Wells in the jail in the
pipeline.
Yeah.
And
because there's no way he's built in like a failsafe that he can escape.
Yeah, of course not.
No possible way. Do you guys want to hear what Adam thought?
Yes.
Hey guys, it's Adam. I'm calling in with some feedback on this week's episode. I liked all the action, but I thought that Barry made the worst deal ever, at least until the next night's Arrow, and Oliver made an even worse one. I'm not quite sure why Eobard let Peekaboo out to begin with, unless that was just to remind the audience that that there were prisoners in there, and I suppose she would be the one of that group that would be the most likely to distract the team without being dangerous enough to actually destroy the particle accelerator while it was charging up. Can't wait to hear what you guys think. Talk to you later. Bye.
Yeah, I think it was to kind of remind the audience that there are these people down there. She's kind of like the least dangerous of them, it seems like.
She just pops around and then runs away.
Because he could have let out Weather Wizard or something like that, but then there's a chance that he could have damaged the accelerator.
Yeah, well, and he also still needs Barry for something, probably.
Right.
So, can't just have him killed.
What do you think that the particle accelerator turning on actually means?
Well, I think it's a super...
Is it a time travel machine?
No,
I think more metahumans.
No, I think that what it is it's the power cell he had under the wheelchair that helped him gain more and more power.
Oh yeah, we didn't talk about that.
I think it's a larger version of him that'll give him enough speed power that he can reverse time.
Maybe
because the one under the wheelchair just helped him gain his strength back and be able to have his speedster powers when he needed them, but he still had to go back and sit in the chair to regain the power.
It was like a little charging dock for his ass.
Exactly. But by creating the particle accelerator, he can amass so much power that he could do like Cher and turn back time.
He can find a way.
So, for news this week, let's start with the big stuff. Both Legends of Tomorrow and Supergirl had big sizzle reels come out.
Yes. This was Upfronts week, so
Yes.
we got a lot of new stuff.
Awesome. Both shows look really, really good.
I do love that on Supergirl they address the cape issue.
Like, there's a reason she's got the cape.
Yeah, don't wear a cape. Capes are stupid. Oh, yeah, you need the cape.
You need a better cape.
I think the more relevant one for us is Legends of Tomorrow, because we actually see not only characters from the Flash show up, but Flash himself is in the sizzle reel for that, and along with Adam and White Canary, Heatwave,
and we see Ray Palmer miniaturizing.
Yes.
We do, yeah. Which he pulls an Ant-Man.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see how that shakes out, but yeah, I mean that just looks so good, and that's going to be a mid-season replacement show. It's not going to start right in the fall, so we'll have some time to build up Flash and Arrow, build their new seasons, and then Legends of Tomorrow is going to hit, which will be awesome.
Are they going to do with that what Marvel did with Peggy Carter and put it like in between?
No, I don't think it's going to be a hiatus. I think it's just going to be a mid-season premiere.
Replacement. Okay.
Because, I mean, CW's got some shows lined up. Probably something's going to get canceled, and then Legend of Tomorrow will take that slot.
Supernatural.
They've got it ready to go.
As much as I love the Winchester boys, it's time.
It's time to hang up the flannel.
Yeah. I mean, they'll be missed, but it's time.
We've had our fill.
Yeah.
And again, we also got an extended preview for next week, Fast Enough, which it really looks like they're setting up Flashpoint. And Barry's going to go back in time, try to save his mom, and it looks like, you know, they said, oh no, he's being erased from history. And we saw a couple flashes of like Ronnie and Caitlin getting married, which we know never happened, and other things that like could definitely screw up the timeline.
Mom, it's me. It's Barry.
It's Barry. Oh my god. And of course we get lots of cryptic stuff like, I can save Mom, but at what cost?
Okay, guys, you got to step up on the writing.
Hey, look, they just want us to know that something bad could happen when you mess with the time stream.
All right. So what have we learned this week, guys?
We do this every week, and I always forget that I have to do this.
Well, I'll do one, and then I want to know what you guys have learned in Chicago, what lessons you have taken from Geekation. So okay. I learned that if you're going to pretend to be crippled in a wheelchair, it's not enough that you're just doing it for sympathy points. You should have like some kind of power station for your butt that helps you get energy. So don't just do it for the sympathy. Actually have a reason.
Well, I showed up late last night to Geekation here, and everybody had already had at least half a day spent together and start the drinking. And I learned that when you show up late to the party, you shouldn't try and catch up.
Yes.
And I have learned that when someone shows up late to the party and tries to catch up, you shouldn't keep up with them catching up.
While you're ahead, my friend.
It just ends badly.
Yeah.
There were poor decisions made. You're thinking of joining us for next year. This is the fun that you will be having with us.
Right.
Make sure you pack lots of Powerade multivitamins and a leaf.
Hey, I'd love to keep this party going, but Haley and I have some Italian beef that we have to go and munch on.
All right.
Ooh,
nice.
phrasing.
Phrasing. This has been Crimson Comet, episode 26. Join us next week as we discuss the season finale of The Flash, Fast Enough. Until then, I'm Haley.
I'm Lobster.
And I'm Rum Daddy.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. If you want to leave us feedback, you can find all of our contact information at crimsoncometpodcast.com. Find us on Twitter at Crimson Podcast or Facebook at facebook.com/Crimson Comet Podcast. Leave us a voicemail at 423-FLASH53. That's 423-352-7453. The opinions heard on this podcast are those of the individual host and do not represent GonnaGeek. The podcast is not affiliated with DC Comics, Warner Brothers, or the CW. No infringement is intended. The music heard is by Kevin MacLeod of Incompetech.com.
I didn't know beef was Italian.
So these fuckers were like, do you want us to buy you some rum? I'm like, no, I'm rum daddy. I travel with my own. And this is what it looks like this morning.
Oh, you did more than sip, my friend.
I shared.
We partook.
Mm-hmm. So somebody really tied one on last night.
That's what I gathered from the... I see lots of alcohol on the counter behind you. And who's still passed out, Nightwing?
That's Wing.
All right.
This...
Did Wing wake up?
No, Wing's not... No, he's snoring now.
Oh, my God.
This was the panel... Oh, he just woke up!
Wing! Hey, buddy, turn the camera.
Here, we can undo all the mics and shit now.
Hey, buddy.
I needed that.
Hey, hurry up and get dressed. We got to get the girls and go and get some Italian beef. The sun's come out, and it's gorgeous
and I'm
out.
pretty sure Ruppy's here now, too.
Hurry up and get undressed. I'm just saying. You do everything backward, dude.
He's French.